Good day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers Domain 1 Content Knowledge and Pedagogy webinar series. For the discussion today, the topic will be on content knowledge, its application within and across curriculum areas. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions on the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this afternoon, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. He is a consultant and evaluator for K-12 Philippine Basic Education, the curriculum and academic consultant of Sisters of Mary. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Brother Roderick M. Aguirre.
Rainy afternoon to everyone here in Cavite right now, where it just poured rain just this afternoon. A while ago, when I was talking about my afternoon live, it wasn't raining that much, but right now it's raining cats and dogs here, and there's thunder, and I'm really afraid that my hair was conscious about my hair. About the thunder, that if the thunder strikes me, my hair will be more curly than it already is. Anyway, again, this is more of Vibal's way of celebrating the Teachers Month, World Teachers Month, October, for the month of October. And we would like to salute all our teachers out there who are doing their best to be the best, okay, the best teachers in the subject area, allowing our students to learn as much as they can with the kind of learning setup that we have right now, which is blended learning or distance education, and where teachers are doing a combination of modular, offline and online lectures. With that being said, today, this afternoon, we'll be starting with our PPST Domain 1, which is on content knowledge and pedagogy. And I'll be talking about sharing. I mean, I'll be sharing ways, indicators, how we can improve our content knowledge. Okay, content knowledge and its application within and across subject area. I've been talking about this. I've been doing a lot of talks about transcending and transferring and integrating the skills, knowledge, and virtues and ethics that we teach our students in one particular subject area across subject areas. But we would like to make sure that what does PPST tell us about content knowledge of our teachers? Is it the content knowledge that all teachers should know? That's what we're going to find out today. Is this the content knowledge that's generically acquired by all teachers, regardless of the subject they teach and their specialization that they have? Or this is rather specific to a particular subject area, okay? So let me share with you my PowerPoint presentation, and there we go. I prepared this is 30 plus slides, but I tried to crop it down to just 20 plus. I know that we have a different time zone, and we made it like just an hour, because I know that a lot of teachers are just got out from their schedule at school, from your schools, and you need more time to rest. So I'll try my best to make it within an hour presentation so that you can have another strand 2 on domain 1 will be tomorrow. And we'll just focus on content knowledge, its application within across content areas. Okay, so this will be our flow, my flow of delivering strand 1. I will start with trivia that is connected to the content knowledge, especially here in the Philippines, and then self-awareness activity. It's more of like sets of questions that we need to ask for us to gauge if we really are propelled towards helping ourselves as educators become really proficient in our content, all right, or the content or the discipline that we're teaching. And there will be no other teacher who will be responsible enough to make sure and to ensure that what we know about the subject and how to teach it and how to deliver to our students in the best way possible would be us, the teachers, handling the discipline and the subject area. All right. So we'll have just a few questions for us to, reflect on. This is not a test, but more of sets of questions that we should always and constantly ask ourselves. And by doing this, by asking ourselves these questions, we engage in helping ourselves improve our knowledge of the content and in the content. Next, I'll discuss with you some ways, indicators for us to know that we are gaining proficiency, growth and development in the strand one, content knowledge and its application within and across subject areas. And then we will have open forum, a little bit open forum, probably the top 3 questions, I'll entertain them. And then voila, I'll end my session with a challenge for you guys out there. All right, let's begin with the trivia. Let's throw that picture again. So let's just talk about the public school system. And that's because we have a public school system in the Philippines. And that's a trivia and would like us to know. This is should be a general information for us in the Philippines. And a lot of people out there believe that the public school system was introduced in the Philippines when the Americans came. I think it was formalized in terms of curriculum during when the Thomasites came to the Philippines, established the first normal school in the Philippines, now known as the Philippine Normal University, but was then the Philippine Normal School. All right, so let's just have the following information that we should share together because we're educators, we should know this. The first and oldest public school in the world was established on April 23, 1635. The first public school in what would become the United States was established in Boston, Massachusetts, known as the Boston Latin School. The Puritans then in the United States believed that the community should establish a school that it should be free for kids and the basic education that is subsidized from the tax of the people, because I believe that this school, one of the main responsibilities of a community or a state is to provide education to the young generation so that this young generation will become contributing members of society. And this became the first form of public school system in the world, okay? That is, until now, Boston Latin School still existing, okay? That's why it's called the first and oldest public school in the world, and became the foundation of the public school system in the United States, and later on to the other parts of the world, especially here in the Philippines. Okay, the idea of the public school here is that it's a school of free education, free basic education to the children of the citizens, subsidized by the taxpayers or from the taxes of the taxpayers. There we go. And the oldest school in the Philippines, of course, we know that, is the University of Santo Tomas, established in 1611. The Colegio de Señor del Santísimo Rosario as well are generally recognized as the oldest university in the Santísimo Rosario in the Philippines. Kanya po itsura nyo dati. So, Santo Tomas is considered to be one of the oldest schools in the Philippines, and it still exists until now. Okay? Next, we have another general information is that the public school system of the Philippines started in 1863. Okay, the public school system in the Philippines was born in 1863 with the passage of the Education Reform Act in the Spanish courts. The education became free for Filipino children between the ages of 7 and 13, allowing now Filipinos to enter and enter the basic education. Dati kasi ang nakapag-aral lang ay yung mga ilustrados, ang mga yung mga anak ng mga Espanyol. Okay? So ngayon, with this decree, nagkaroon po ng semblance of a public school system allowing the Filipino children to enter the basic education for free between ages of 7 to 13. Pagdating sa college, hindi na po. Kanya-kanya na po. Family, I suppose. All right. So this is how our public school system evolved in the Philippines, well, introduced in the Philippines, and thereby, because of this introduction to the Philippines, there become as institutionalized idea that teachers must have content knowledge, and that the teachers teaching a certain subject, be it in the elementary or high school, must be knowledgeable enough in the content area, because the cliche goes, you cannot teach what you do not have. And it's a continuous process for teachers to grow in the discipline. Wala pa pong tao, wala pong isang teacher ang magsasabi na siya ang pinaka-eksperto sa disiplina nila. We are all gaining experience. We are all in the process of becoming experts in the field, contributing to the body of knowledge of the content, improving it so that our students gain what they're supposed to gain from our subject, from our discipline, or from the content that we are teaching. Now, let's have the following questions. Just a few questions for us to ask ourselves if we really are moving towards helping ourselves and our teachers really gain growth and maturity and expertise in our subject area, thereby helping us see how we can improve our subject across grade levels, and also collaborate with other teachers in the other disciplines, so that we facilitate the integration of skills of our subject to the other subject areas. So these are some few questions that we need to ask, which I have been asking myself constantly since I started taking education. Bakit ako mag-education? What's important? What is the importance of education? What is the role of the teacher in the teaching learning process? Is the teacher really important? Am I important in the process? And these are the things that help us improve ourselves. If research showed again that if we continue asking ourselves, am I doing it right? We are in the process of helping ourselves become better in our content knowledge and pedagogy. So let's follow the instructions. So this is not a paper pencil test. Just follow the directions though, instructions. All you have to do is just answer the questions in your mind, okay? So this is not a paper pencil assessment, but a self-reflection activity. Answer the questions I will ask in your mind. Answer the questions I will ask in your mind. So dapat nalakalito. Answer the questions in your mind. In your mind, as honest as you could possibly do. Remember, the saying goes, you can only be honest to thine self. Okay? Let's start with the first question. How do I know I'm doing a good job? Ask that yourself. Do you have concrete data, information that would help you, give you proof of your claim that you're doing a good job of teaching the subject? Okay? So, sometimes I ask that, am I doing a good job? But what will be my basis for me to know that I'm doing a good job? The results of the assessment. One source of knowing that we're doing a good job and we have taught the content and the students have gained the content that they're supposed to learn from us would be the results of our summative assessments or any form of assessment, be it performance assessment or the traditional assessment. Second, if we can see that there's a change of behavior, all right, a change of behavior brought about by the knowledge they gained from the subject. Especially halimbawa, ang araling panlipunan natin, o sa science na lang po, tinuruan natin ang mga science about, say, environmental problems, of the effects of greenhouse effect. Nakita na natin ang mga bata that they are now becoming more conscious and aware of how to use chemicals that are harmful to the environment. That if you see that there's a change of behavior and a change of action among your students, they become better at dealing with the environment. That means we could now say that we have successfully helped our students gain the knowledge from the content that we teach them or we have taught them. Ganun po. Yun po ang mga sources po natin. Quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative would be the tests and the assessment forms that we provide our students. Second would be, of course, qualitatively would be their behavior, a change of behavior, which cannot be quantified but can be qualified. All right? So we have to observe our students. Okay, we have to observe our students. Yan po ang problema ng mga teachers. Habang tumatagal, feeling nila, am I doing a good job? It's not enough that you ask questions. What I'm trying to do with the self-assessment here is not enough that you ask your questions. If you have these questions, then you have to find out the answers. It's either you ask your students, kailan pag tinanong mo yung estudyante, baka naman hindi magsabi ng totoo. Pero database po talaga tayo. What about the observations of teachers, the observations of the administrators? That would be the third source. So you have the student's perspective, the results of the student's perspective. There will be, of course, the results of their test, and of course their change of behavior. Okay. Next would be observation from our administrators, and finally, of course, you can also solicit comments from your co-teachers. Okay. So once you have these questions, you will definitely find out sources of answers so that you will find the answer to this. It is one, kaya po siya nakalagay sa number 1, dapat yan po dapat ang unang katanungan ng isang teacher na gustong gumaling sa kanyang pagtuturo at gustong magpakadalubhasa sa kanyang disiplina. Ang unang tanong niya, am I doing a good job? Ginagawa ko ba ang dapat kong gawin? Ang pinakamagaling, the best ko? Para ibigay sa mga bata. Yes, you are now operating, your mind is operating within the perspective, the strand, content knowledge, okay? And its application to the content, within the content of our subject area. The next question is, what do I expect from my students? So, kung if you are asking yourselves, you're doing a good job, you also ask the question, what are the indicators that I would know that my students are learning from my class? What am I supposed to expect from my students? Do I expect my students to just memorize concepts? Do I expect my students to get a good grade? Or do I expect my students to be able to behaviorally manifest the following behavioral indicators? I think one of the many problems with the Philippine education system is that we have a lot of cognitive indicators, but we have few behavioral indicators. When you say cognitive indicators, these can be tested via paper pencil test, a traditional way of assessing our students. So the behavioral indicators, we have few performance tasks. Sa ngayon, ang ginawa po natin, ang ginawa ng PEAC, ginawa ng DepEd ay isang culminating activity in the quarter. I'm okay with that. But then again, dapat before that, in every subject area, binugbog po natin ang bata ng mga performances. Okay? Baka kasi magkaroon po tayo ng idea that our students should only perform once. That's against the change of behavior. Because when we want to change our students' behavior towards what they can do, we must allow our students to commit mistakes. Tingnan po natin ang sarili natin. Bakit gumaling tayo sa paggawa ng test? That's along the way, marami tayong mali at may mga feedback sa atin ng ating mga SACs, ng ating consultants na this is not the way you do it. Let's have a training on how to actually improve yours. So by our mistakes, by allowing our students to commit mistakes in their behavior and their performances, they refine their behavior. So dun lang tayo siguro lacking in the behavioral indicators. We look into that. Okay. Next, we have, why does my classroom look like this? Did you realize that a particular subject area may not have the same classroom setup? Tanong ko lang palagi, bakit pare-pareho ang classroom setup ng English, Philippine? Okay lang siguro English, Filipino para sa setup kasi language po siya. Pero for me, the setup of the classroom for the language classes is not conducive to the idea of language learning. I would go for a horseshoe type or nakapaikot na talagang nakikita ng mga teacher nakakalikot siya at nakikita niya face to face sa mga bata at mayroong at a little bit of distance. Ngayon magagawa po sa distance education kasi nakikita ng mga bata face to face ang mga teachers nila, so feeling like they're conversing personally to the students. Pero bakit ang math at saka ang science okay pa kasi meron silang laboratory or meron silang laboratory room na talagang nababago ang setup. Bakit iba hindi? Halimbawa sa Araling Palipunan, bakit pareho ang classroom setup ng Araling Palipunan na iba naman ang cognitive demand? behavioral demand ng isang subject to another. I think we have been caged as to how the classroom should look like. Na palaging, ito palagi ang blackboard. Ito palagi ang head ng classroom natin. Tapos ang mga classroom po natin ay palaging nakaroon. Most teachers have been stuck with that kind of classroom setups, no face-to-face. So, nung nag-face-to-face kayo, were there chances or were there situations when you say, I want to change my classroom setup because this is not conducive to the kind of activity that I'm giving them. I would rather have them face each other. Yun. Kung naggagawa ka ng ganun, you are in the perspective that you know your subject, you have the content knowledge, and you know the setup that would facilitate the learning of the content. Pero kung hindi ka daw maayos sa classroom management, regular lang, deliver, so that means it's an indication that you really are still learning the content knowledge or learning knowledge about the content, and still you do not know how effective, what kind of atmosphere and what kind of setup would be conducive to easy learning of the content. Inaaral mo pa. So you're still in the process of learning it. Next, could I be providing better feedback to my students? Pag sinabi ko, could I be providing better feedback to my students, could be, gaano ba kabilis? Ano bang mga assessment forms ang bibigay ko sa bata? Gaano karaming items? Anong form ng assessment na makukuha ko talaga yung dapat kong makuha na natutunan ng bata? If you are delving into that question that you keep on asking, paano ko sila assess? Ano magandang assessment? You are now going to research. Pag nagtatanong ka kasi, at ang tawag natin dito sa psychology kasi disequilibrium, you are in a state of disequilibrium because of these questions. And when you ask your questions, one way or the other, and it bugs you every now and then, you will have to go and do research or ask someone else. Questions, asking ourselves, make us propel ourselves to look for answers. Okay? Thereby, helping ourselves improve. Pero ang teacher na hindi nagtatanong ng sarili will not improve in the content, will not grow and mature in the discipline. Why do I use technology like this? Like, is this appropriate? If I use the technology, would this be appropriate for the delivery of the content, or would this disrupt the delivery of the content? Or it does not facilitate the real cognitive demand of the subject area. Instead, it only distracts students from what they're supposed to be learning. So kung ganito mga iniisip mo, tama ba? Picture ba ang pipiliin ko? Video ba ang pipiliin ko? Saan ba mas makatama sa puso ng bata? Ganyan. If you're delving into that question, you are now in the perspective of domain 1, helping yourselves improve. Next, how do I check my students' understanding? Assessment pa rin. Do I ask them questions? Or do I have open forum? Or do I have a freedom wall for them to write on? Do I ask them to do journals? Do I ask them to do note taking? Would the note taking of the notebook, note taking in their notebooks suffice for me to know the content or the extent of the information that they have learned from the subject? Pwede. You'll never know the answer if you don't do it and try it out. Next question will be, how am I differentiating the learning? Am I trying to do something about, have I identified students who are struggling in my subject? If I have identified that there are some students who are struggling from my student, have I done something to improve or create an activity that would help that student improve their performance in the subject, or I didn't do anything? Okay. Could I be communicating with parents better? Would that help too? Sa amin sa Sisters of Mary, wala naman parents present. So, communicating with the mother sisters, okay? Or communicating with the presidents and or the leaders, study leaders in a section or in a family. The point here is that you're asking questions like, are there other people who could help my students in the learning process that would make them more susceptible to the learning process of the subject area? If they're having difficulty with mathematics, should I partner them with another classmate? Or do I ask the parents and tell the parents that their kids are having difficulty with mathematics, hence enlist their support to provide their kids with other activities at home? Yun. Or bahala sila. O ayaw ng mga magulang wala, then you are not delving into content knowledge. Kasi dapat ma-realize din po natin sa content knowledge is that there are things that we cannot do. Okay, that we have also to realize that we are not the only source. Okay, the only source of the learning of our students. It could also be their classmates. It could be their parents. It could be also the technology. All right. Next question. How am I building relationship with my students? Are we strong with Are we strong with my relationship? Am I strict or am I firm? What's the difference between strict and being firm? Am I firm or am I strict? Am I nice? Am I good? Am I making jokes? If I'm making jokes, does it help in the learning process of my students? Or I have a good friend really. I'm friends with my students, but alas, I have difficulty managing their behavior. Mga ganun ba? Ano kayong magandang approach to my students? Is it the strict one? Ang sagot po dapat nun na ikaw nakakaalam kasi depende sa estudyante at grupo ng estudyante. Your answer to these questions would differ depending on the kind of students that you handle. And every year, these questions will change. I'm sorry, the answers to these questions will change kasi iba na namang set ng estudyante. Next, what could I be doing better? Okay, after all these answers, after all these results, could I do something better? Should I look for other materials? Should I integrate other activities and strategies that would help my student? Should be 11. What am I doing really well? What am I doing really well? Ano ba talaga yung area na strong ako? Ano naman ang hindi? Asan ako weak? And finally, what other questions I need to ask myself? Ano pa dapat ang tatanong ko sa sarili ko? Okay, questions like, do I catch the attention of my students? Do I capture their interest? These are some questions that we should ask as well. Kasi knowing your subject area is knowing how to deliver it the interesting way, and the motivating way. Right? So yun po ha. I hope you got a copy of those and then you just engage yourselves with these questions which will improve you. This was actually, I took these questions from Columbia University of how they allow their teachers to improve themselves in the content by allowing them to engage in self-questioning. By asking yourselves, you're already helping yourselves halfway through improving and growing in the content, all right, and pedagogy. So let's now have ways, indicators, so understand the factors that make a good teacher effective or knowledgeable in the content area. So these are indicators for us to know whether the teacher has content knowledge and doing integration within the subject area and across subject area. So the question is, what is content knowledge? Let us be specific first. What about content knowledge? Kasi a lot of teachers will say, ang galing-galing ng teacher na yan, ang galing mag-English, ang galing mag-film. Is language an indicator of sorry po, nagbigay ako kasi nagpo-coffee ako eh. Mag-coffee muna po tayo. Wow. Nescafe pa naman po. Alright. So, what is content knowledge in the perspective of the PPST? Kasi kung content knowledge yung pinag-usapan natin dito, is this a general skill and knowledge that all teachers should know, or it's specific to a certain subject area? So let's answer this question. I'm just checking myself. I only have 30 minutes left, so I'm over halfway through. So teachers' content knowledge are, specifically, they know the theories, general theories of teaching, okay, teaching and learning. But most specifically, when we talk about teachers' content knowledge, these are theories specific to the subject. So theories of science, theories of mathematics, theories of araling panlipunan, theories of na hindi alam ng ibang tao, na ang nakaalam lang po ay yung mga nagtuturo sa asignatura na yon. Ang tawag po natin dito ay ang specific nature and culture of the subject. Ang guro ng isang asignatura ang nakakaalam kung ano ang kultura at paano nag-iisip ang isang tao sa isang disiplina ng matematika, ng siyensya, ng araling panlipunan sa edukasyon sa pagpapakatao. Dahil kung hindi alam daw ng teacher ang mga teorya na nakapaloob sa pagtuturo, pagkatuto sa disiplinang yon, magkakaroon siya ng problema sa pagpili ng tamang strategiya, tamang approach nagagamitin niya sa pagtuturo kasi hindi lahat po ng strategies at approach are applicable to all subject area. There are some strategies and approaches that are specific to the subject area. Pwede gamitin ng iba siguro, pero magkakaroon ng modification. Okay? So, ang teorya, ang knowledge ng teacher sa teorya na nakapaloob sa pagtuturo at pagkatuto ng bata sa isang agnatura ay ang kanyang desisyon para sa classroom management. Lesson planning. Siyang nakakaalam kung anong tamang activities, ano ang tamang gawain para ma-realize ang mga learning competencies. Okay? Prinsipyo. Nakapaloob sa because alam ko ng teacher ang mga teorya at ang mga principles o prinsipyo ng isang asignatura, alam niya kung paano siya gumalaw bilang guro. Alam niya na ano ba ang modelo ng isang guro para ma-approximate niya, ma-model niya sa mga bata na ganito ang isang mathematics teacher. Kaya lang po, minsan hindi, diyan po tayo nagkakaroon ng problema sa prinsipyo kasi minsan ang ating mga guro ay guro lamang. Pasensya po sa pagsasabi ko, nasabi na po ng to, sabi ko minsan po, ang mga guro ay guro lamang. Pero hindi po sila practitioners of the discipline. Halimbawa, ang mga sample lang po natin, ang ating mga nagtuturo sa mathematics say are they math teachers or somehow they practice their mathematics skills outside? Do they do investment? They do civil business? Mga ganun po ba na application? Or magaling silang magturo pero hindi naman nila na-apply sa buhay nila. Mga ganun lang po mga questions like questions of principles would be the duality, okay, the duality of the role of the teacher in the teaching and learning process of the subject area. Do you practice what you teach? Do you have the skills of the things that you are teaching us? You know the knowledge, you're teaching us the skills, but do you actualize in your real lives, in your daily activities, the skills that you teach us? It's rather challenging. Okay, it's rather challenging for all teachers on this perspective of principles. Duality, we call it as, ang tawag nila doon sa duality is the within itness. Okay, they created that word in Columbia University. Within itness. Ibig sabihin, you resemble, you become the model, if not the perfect epitome of the subject area. Next, facts. Alam na natin po, like our subject are riddled with facts and information. Dapat alam po natin yon, especially the rules. Okay, especially the rules. And of course, the concepts related to the subject. All of these elements relate to a particular subject area. It may be shared with other subject area, but then again, it's endemic to that. Now, teachers' content knowledge on top of theories and principles and facts and concepts, they should also have literacy and numeracy and scientific skills. Yung teorya, ang prinsipyo, and facts and concepts daw, yan po yung mga specific theories and principles and facts and concepts ng bawat asignatura. Ngunit, on top of that, dapat daw si teacher ay mayroong literacy, numeracy, and scientific skills. Kaya po, may mga teachers po sa language, sa English and Filipino, na sinasabi nila po, mahina pa po sa math. Hindi pwede, kasama yan sa content knowledge. On top of the theory, principles, and facts concepts that you should also know numeracy because you are supposed, in the process of integration, how can you facilitate integration of concepts in mathematics to your subjects if you don't have numeracy skills? You need knowledge on this for you to be able to facilitate integration. Okay, kaya nga po, di ba nag-aaral tayo, lahat naman tayo mula elementary may mathematics. One way or the other, we have the basics. Di ba nang kailangan talagang math teacher ka? Kaya nga numeracy skills, the foundation of mathematics. Scientific skills din po, bakit kailangan ng scientific skills? Dahil the scientific skills are the foundation to research. And then towards functional skills, okay? Research and functional skills. Literacy, numeracy, and scientific skills lead to the higher form of skills needed for every teacher in the subject area, research and functional skills. Ito pa yung sinasabi natin kanina. Ano kung nagtatanong ka lang? Tanong ka lang ng tanong, pero dahil nga lacking ka sa research skills, halimbawa, ano ba yung magandang strategiya sa mga estudyante ko para matutunan nila isang topic na to? You're now thinking on the perspective of, ginagalugod mo sa utak mo ang theory, alam mo sa teorya, sa subject mo at saka prinsipyo. Ngunit kung kulang ka sa research skills, mahirapan ka mag-improve sa subject mo dahil nga hanggang tanong ka na lang, dahil wala kang masyadong research skills, you will not be able to find answers. So we are now able to answer the first question. There are only two questions though. The first question is understanding the teacher's content knowledge. Ulitin ko po ha. Theories and principles, facts and concepts endemic to the subject area. And on top of that, so teacher's content knowledge are their knowledge specific to the subject, are knowledge on theories, principles, facts and concepts related specific to the subject that they teach or their or discipline of specialization. And on top of that, they have literacy, numeracy, and scientific skills that paves the way to their research and functional skills. Opo, kasi paano nga naman kayo magtuturo kung hindi ka nagre-research? Paano mo naman maituturo ng maayos kung hindi mo marirelate ang tinuturo mo into functional activities like projects that you think of for students, performance tasks you take for your students, kasi di-demonstrate mo yun. So you need to have functional skills as well. Kasama doon ang language skills, of course. Now, the last question is, what are the indicators of teachers' proficiency on content knowledge? So ito na, isa-isa na natin. Sir, paano ko malalaman na meron po ako, meron na po akong proficiency or I am gaining proficiency? Gaining, wag naman natin sabihin na proficient ka na. Kasi I believe that teachers will always, our proficiency and our growth and maturity in the subject area is always a journey. We are not like God, not perfect in all sense, but we are capable of, for that, but it's a journey for us. So these are some of the indicators that would show that we are gaining proficiency. I would not say proficient. Ngayon, kung lahat nito ginagawa mo, sige, claim po natin na proficient po tayo. Pero kung merong isa, then we are gaining proficiency. So I would like you to look at these indicators of these aspects that you have satisfied. So lahat ng to, you must be able to satisfy. These are about 11 aspects or indicators. Let's start with one. On teacher expectation, role, and definitions or sense of efficacy. Ano po yun? Simple lang po. Teachers accept responsibility for teaching their students. Okay? Ang unang-unang indicator that you accept that you are accountable for what students learn or do not learn from your subject. Na pag walang natutunan ng bata, ikaw ang may kasalanan. Pag marami natutunan ng bata, ikaw talaga. Hindi ang bata. Kung ang perspektibo daw mo ay tinatanggap ko ang trabaho na to, pero alam kong na hindi matututunan ng bata dahil ang mga estudyanteng hawak ngayon ay may hina. Kung ang perspektibo mo daw hindi natututo ang bata at ang iyong perspektibo na bakit hindi natututo ang bata dahil ang student level, student learning skills level, then you are not on this teacher expectation, role, definition, and sense of efficacy. For us, one of the indicators, I got this from Columbia University. One of the many indicators from this research is that we accept the role. That if our students do not learn, and if they learn, tayo accountable. The idea there is accountability. Okay? Kasi we will do everything for students to learn what they're supposed to learn from our subjects. Right? That's the first indicator. So ask yourself, do I really ensure that my students, do I accept that I'm accountable whatever students learn from my subject? If the answer is yes, you are gaining proficiency. If the question is, the answer is, I don't know, you may want to look into how many years have I been teaching? Am I accountable for what happened to the students in the years that I have, of the students that went through my hands in the previous years? Kung hindi, nagturo lang ako. May question po, may problema ka, hindi mo tinatanggap. So, nagtuturo ka lang ng tuturo kasi pag hindi mo tinanong to, kung hindi mo tinanggap ang accountability, you will not help yourself improve. Hindi ka magbabasa, ano bang mga bago ngayon this year? Kasi pag hindi mo inisip na ikaw ang responsible, ang main responsible for the learning of our students, you will not improve yourself. Ito po yung perspective na you cannot teach what you do not have. If you believe that you're accountable for the learning of your students, you will do the utmost to improve yourself. Because if you improve yourself, you will improve how students will learn. Second, student opportunity to learn. So pagkatapos ng accountability, student opportunity, ibig sabihin, teachers allocate most of their available time to instruction and learning activities are carefully aligned to standards. Ito daw yung mga teacher na uubusin ng oras nila sa estudyante. To the point nga to the point, this is what I like about the research, is that to the point, positive pala yun positive pala in a way na may mga teachers na humihindi to some of the responsibilities outside classroom responsibility, like clubs, activities ng school, dahil gusto nilang ubusin ng oras nila para lang mag-prepare para sa mga bata at magkaroon ng maayos at saka relevant activities for students. So, inuubusin lang oras nila sa research for student opportunity to learn. So, kung ganun pong perspektibo mo, na I would rather first take my time to prepare lessons well, then you are on your way to grow and mature in your profession, in the content area and the subject area. Ako din, while I was reading on this, again, this is not yung number one talaga, I believe in that. But this one, I was shocked with the research na it's a positive indicator kasi most teachers see this as a negative indicator of teachers in the subject area na mas unahin daw nila yung mga tasks sa school. Ang sabi, based on the research, a lot of teachers accept responsibilities outside their primary responsibility to the students is because they want to get away from their main responsibility. Remember, nakalimutan, we should not forget that number one is accountability. If we accept that we are accountable for all the learnings of our students, then we will do everything all the time the time that we have to create the most relevant learning plan and learning activities for our students, to the point that we will say no to some of those opportunities outside, like responsibilities outside our classroom. Positive pala yun. Yung tanggap daw ng mga responsibilities outside the classroom, tas nakakalimutan na ang kanyang, tapos sabihin, sorry nakalimutan ko kayong anuhin. Yun po yung mga sasabi sa research, ito yung mga teachers na hindi prepare sa pagtuturo ng kanilang asignatura. They see the other responsibilities given to them by the school as a scapegoat. That's not me, it's the research says. Okay? Nasyaklangalig na ako sa, posible din. I'm not sure if it's true here in the Philippines, but the respondents there were Southeast Asian teachers their respondents in the research. Nakalagay dito sa akin, naglolow ang aking quality. So, I'll try. Malapit lang po tayo matapos. Okay, the third one is classroom management and organization. A teacher who thinks, yung sinasabi natin kanina, who engages in the idea that, innovating the classroom, babaguhin ang arrangement for a better reception to the learning of the subject, is actually a teacher who's helping students improve in the content area. Kasi alam niya, the environment, she believes that a certain type of atmosphere would help the students learn the subject. Sir, wala po kami sa classroom ngayon. Online po kami. Modular po kami. So, i-transpose po natin ang classroom management into materials preparation. Alam niya na ang ganitong layout ng materials preparation, may pictures, tapos merong mga words na nandito. Sa pictures ng PowerPoint, meron mo ng video, tapos may tanong siyang ibibigay. Alam niya kung paano i-organize na mag-create ng atmosphere of mental and emotional synergy so that students will focus more on the learning of the subject matter at hand. Okay? Next, curriculum pacing. Si teacher daw ay indicator po dito na si teacher ay growing in proficiency in the content area knowledge when teachers move through the curriculum rapidly but in small steps that minimize student frustration and allow continuous progress. Ibig sabihin po dito, alam niya na meron siyang curriculum na sinusunod. Okay. Alam niya na meron siyang curriculum na sinusunod, pero binabago-bago niya ang pacing. Minsan hindi niya sinusunod na nakalagay doon sa curriculum guide ng DepEd ay 2 weeks. kailan mahirap ang subject na to, hindi pa makuha ng bata, mag-i-extend na lang ako. Titingnan ko na lang yung susunod na mga topics or modules kung kakayanin ng bata kasi prerequisite ito. Pag hindi na nakuha ito, magsasuffer naman ang iba. So, aayusin ko dito. If you are engaging in that, then you are in the perspective of being proficient in the content knowledge and pedagogy. Okay? Kasi you are aware that meron kang dapat sundin na curriculum, pero pacing. Anong gagamitin mo na natapos ang curriculum mo, pero hindi naman natutunan ng bata? Next is what we call as active teaching, sometimes called direct instruction. Ikaw yung teacher na actively instruct, demonstrating skills, explaining concepts, conducting participatory activities, and reviewing when necessary. You are the kind of the teacher na, wait lang, aaralin ko nga ang materialis na dapat kong ibigay sa mga bata. Pipiliin ko lang ang dapat na alam ng bata. So direct instruction means ibinibigay mo sa bata yung informasyon na essential lang. All the non-essential information, hindi mo na ibibigay sa bata. Probably, if there's enough time, pwede ka magbigay nun. Pero, ikaw unang pumipili ng paraan. Tapos, alam mo mahirapan ang bata sa actualization of the skills and knowledge and application of the skills. So, you demonstrate. Hindi ka nagbibigay ng activity o nag-expect sa bata na magagawa ng skill na hindi ka nagpapakita sa kanila kung paano ginagawa. So a good teacher, a proficient or a teacher growing in the proficiency and the content knowledge is where teacher acknowledges na siya nga ang accountable sa learning, so dapat siya ang magpapakita ng skill, magde-demonstrate siya. Okay? Next is the teaching to mastery. Okay? Teaching to mastery means teachers monitors to each student's progress and provide feedback and remedial instruction as needed, making sure students achieve mastery. Ang gusto niya mangyari nga, yung kagaya sa it's linked to the pacing. Pero nakita niya ang bata ay nahihirapan, so kailangan niyang bibigay ng additional activities, additional instruction perhaps, and then if possible, remediation para sa mga bata. Kasi he or she realized na turo ako ng turo, pero yung basics na dapat naturo ng grade level, previous grade level, hindi naman naturo. So, unahin ko muna yun kasi magsasuffer din ng bata. Pag nagsuffer ang bata, suffer din ako. Pag nagsuffer ako, hindi ko matuturo ang mga dapat maituro ko this grade level. So kung hindi ko matuturo ang dapat ko ituro sa grade level na to, mapupromote sila sa next grade level na walang mastery. Okay? Next would be a supportive learning environment. A teacher who has knowledge of the content would be able to focus on how and what ways he can, improve the learning process of the students. Ito po yung sinasabi na teachers maintain pleasant, friendly classrooms and are perceived as enthusiastic and supportive instructors. Alam ng teacher daw na kung gaano kahirap ang isang subject. Kumari, the teachers, ayo po mga teachers, alam po natin sa listahan ng curriculum natin, sa order ng ating topics at ating learning competencies, asan doon ang pinakamahirap. Kung saan daw ang pinakamahirap, dapat doon tayo mas friendly sa bata. Because according to this domain, a teacher is a good teacher when he makes the most difficult subject easy for students to learn and understand. Okay? So, alam ng teacher kasi hindi ko makitaan ng congruency ng behavior ng teacher sa level of difficulty of the subject. Kung alam niyang mahirap na yung subject, bakit lalo pa niya pinapahirapan ang delivery ng subject? Dapat daw ang teacher na mayroong content knowledge and pedagogy of the subject, nag-iisip siya, alam ko mahirap to, pero mag-iisip ako dapat ng paraan na nagawain na mas madali at mapapadali ang pag-intindi ng bata. Hindi yung, mahirap talaga to ganito na talaga to. Alright? You're not growing in your profession, in your profession and in your content. Next, connection of lessons to real-life applications. Si teacher daw who has knowledge of the content area will be able to think of activities in real life that has an application to the subject area. But in this indicator, there's a caution. The caution is not all lessons may have real-life applications because there are lessons that are for knowledge's sake, for information's sake. Okay, so tayo din nagkakakalam na let us not push all lessons to have real-life applications when the information is for real life, for information, for information's sake or for knowledge's sake. But in connection of lessons to real-life applications, teachers present perennial or relevant societal issues. Ang ginagawa ng teacher dito ay para magkaroon ng relevance na kanyang tinuturo, pinapakita niya na, ito ang mga sitwasyon at mga problema sa lipunan natin, sa Pilipinas o kaya sa mundo. Tapos pag nakinig kayo sa ating asignatura, sa ating module na to, matututunan mo hanapin ang solusyon sa mga problema ito. Nagkakaroon ng purpose. Now, connection of lessons to real-life application is the skill of the teacher to provide students with a purpose, to answer the question in their mind, why am I supposed to learn this material? Why am I supposed to listen to you? Is this important to my life? Is this important to society? Is this important to other people? And next indicator would be collaboration with other teachers within the discipline. Ang teacher daw who's growing is that you need to understand that there are other teachers who may be more knowledgeable than you. So sharing practices within your subject. Kayo mga math teacher, kayo mga science teacher, nag-sharing ba kayo o kanya-kanya pa rin kayo? Kung nagkakanya-kanya kayo, okay, you will grow because you will be doing research. But in terms of practicality, baka mayroon na mga teachers sa inyong school na naggagawa na ng mga innovation tapos maganda pala ang nangyayaring epekto sa mga bata. Why shut down or close your mind to the possibility that there are teachers in your school that may have more answers or may have more knowledge about the content and how it's taught effectively to the students. So collaborate. Usap-usap po ang tawag natin. So teachers collaborate to align their course material across grade levels for the primary benefit of students' continuous seamless learning. Also, ito yung nagkukonekta ang teachers ng mathematics kunwari sa elementary, primary, nag-uusap-usap with middle school teachers sa junior high school and senior high school para makita nila, magtulungan tayo kasi pag hindi nyo tinuruan ng tama yung mga skills doon sa grade level ninyo, kami ang tatanggap ng mga problema ng mga bata. So magtulungan po tayo. Sharing ideas with your co-teachers of the same discipline would be helping you improve and grow in your knowledge of the content and how it's taught. Second would be collaborating with other teachers across disciplines. So teachers collaborate with other teachers across disciplines to provide students with a more holistic learning for each grade level. Kayo bang mga teacher daw na sa grade 7 or kaya grade 6, nag-uusap-usap kayo ng mga nagtuturo sa grade 6 para, okay, anong gagawin natin this year? Ano ang pwede nating i-connecta na mga pwedeng skills na i-connect, pwedeng topic na i-connect. So integration process of one subject to another, be it topic, be it theme, be it skills, be it learning competencies, be it standards, be it tasks. Basta makita po natin na ma-realize ng bata na ang natututunan niya sa isang subject ay may connection sa natututunan niya sa other subject to be able to perform certain tasks. Na ang mga natutunan niya sa isang subject ay para sa subject labang yun at hindi magagamit sa ibang subject area. That's not a good way for learning or an idea of learning in a holistic perspective. Dapat ma-realize ng bata na ang lahat ng natututunan niya sa iba't ibang asignatura sa same grade level ay tumutulong para sa kanyang kabuuang pagkatuto. Okay? Kabuuan. Kaya holistic po ang ating sa K-12 curriculum. Holistic develop individuals imbued with the 21st century skills. Finally, the last indicator, this is the 11th indicator, collaboration with agencies outside the school. Do we engage with other agencies outside to help our students see the actual application of what they are learning outside? Now, in the case of our students in terms of safety, pwede naman kasing hindi natin dalhin ang bata sa environment or sa outside agencies. We can bring the agencies to our students via videos, via documentaries na nakikita natin nga of all generation, of all era. Itong era na to ang kaya natin dalhin ang lipunan sa mga bahay ng mga bata. Halimbawa, gusto mong malaman kung halimbawa sa araling palipunan, how a bill is passed, ang dami na po sa YouTube yung prosesong pagpapasa ng bill na pwede natin ipakita sa mga bata Okay guys, ito yung link. Tingnan nyo kung paano nag-uusap-usap ang bicameral, paano ang Kongreso at ang Senado para ipasa ang bill, paano ginagawa at paano po yan dinivito ng Presidente. Hindi na kailangan na sige, pupunta tayo sa Senado o Congress. Hindi, meron na mga sa YouTube, meron na sa mga online platforms na pwede natin dalhin ang lipunan or external agencies to the homes of our students to see that yung natututunan nila sa asignatura natin ay meron talagang gamit sa totoong lipunan. At kung hindi nila aaralin ang kanilang dapat matutunan sa asignatura na yon, posible hindi nila magagawa ang trabaho na nakikita nila ngayon sa mga videos. Pwede na rin sa news. Maganda nga po ngayon kasi nga hindi na si teacher daldal na sa totoong buhay. Hindi na kailangan magdaldal si teacher. Magpakita lang ng videos from online, pasok na po. So collaboration with agents outside the school. So kailangan mo pa rin humingi ng permiso na gamitin ang materials nila. Alright? So these are just the 11 indicators, common indicators for us to know how we can improve or are we growing in the proficiency, our proficiency level in the content areas. Okay? But I would like to say that it all starts with accountability. Domain 1, knowledge of content and its application within and across subject areas starts, the indicators that I've shown to you starts with the acceptance that the learning of our students in the subject starts with the teacher's accountability. If you don't accept that, all of the other indicators will no longer be applicable. So kaya nga number 1 muna, let's satisfy first the first indicator. Let us accept that we are accountable for whatever our students learn and do not learn. We are to blame to what happened to our students' learning while they are with us. With that being said, I'm now open. Strand 1 pa lang po ito ha, strand 1. So the next strand would be tomorrow. Okay? So any questions about the strand 1, which is on teachers' content knowledge and its application within and across subject areas. Yes, Jillian, tingnan ko on time.
Thank you very
I'm
much,
very conscious
brother.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's okay.
Now we will proceed to our question and answer portion. Our first question is from Anthony Dean. Teachers handle combinations of subjects in different levels. They also handle subjects that are not in their field of specialization. With these, how does it affect his or her effectiveness as a teacher in terms of content?
Well, let's start with your questions are double tiered. Let's start with the first tier. The first tier is that what should teachers do who are teaching the same subject but across grade levels? It's just a modification of the level. Kung alam mo talaga sa subject na you're teaching English, nakita mo na you're teaching nouns in grade 2, you're teaching nouns in grade 4, alam mo na iba ang level ng pagtuturo ng nouns sa grade 2 at sa grade 3. So even if you're teaching the same subject across grade levels, you know that you will have to adjust, knowing that ikaw nakaalam ano dapat ang level ng activities, the level of the type of strategies that is appropriate to the level of the students of the grade level. So ikaw pa rin nakakalam doon. So that's okay. Only that, in terms of integration across the subject area, mas malaki nga lang ang responsibilidad mo kasi kung 3 grade levels ang tinuturoan mo within the subject, tatlong grade levels po ang aalagaan mo ng holistic learning. So you have to collaborate with kung nagtuturo ka ng grade 2, you'll have to collaborate with all the grade 2 teachers. Kung nagtuturo ka sa grade 5, you'll have to collaborate with all teachers teaching the subjects in grade 5 and so on and so forth. Hindi na po kagaya ng dati na pag naturo mong subject, wala ka nang pakialam. Hindi pwede. You have to sit down. All teachers teaching in the same grade level should sit down together to create a holistic learning experience for our students. That is what we call content knowledge. You know that your subject is very pivotal to the holistic learning of our students in the subject area towards also the acquisition and performance of the culminating task identified for that quarter in a particular grade level. Now, on the second tier of your question, where teachers are assigned other subject areas to teach, ang masasabi ko po doon ay sige, kasi nga especially for the public schools and even in the private schools, for the lack of teachers. Okay, for lack of teachers, what we can do is, tanggapin, sige, accountability. Pero the preparation po should not be yours. It must be prepared by a teacher whose specialization is on that content. Let's have an example. Paano kunwari ang isang, nangyari po kasi sa akin yan na talagang nag-voice out talaga ako sa principal namin nun. Siyempre, I'm a language teacher. And I was asked to teach Araling Panlipunan. And I said, okay, I can deliver Araling Panlipunan, pero hindi ako mag-prepare ng materials kasi wala akong content knowledge daan. Hindi ko rin alam kung anong angkop ng mga gawain para ituro yan. So sige, ako ang magtuturo, pero hindi ako magpaplano. Nakuha po natin. Una, hindi ko alam ang curriculum. Hindi ko alam ang learning competence. Hindi ko alam ang teorya, ang prinsipyo na dapat kong gagamitin sa pag-prepare ng lessons. So on your second tier, kung kayo ang pinagagawa ng materyales sa pagtuturo sa subject na inassign sa inyo na hindi nyo naman specialization, kawawa ang bata. They may not be receiving the right quality of education that they should receive from a teacher who is knowledgeable to the subject. Yan pong sinasabi ng domain na to. Ang tao na training sa subject na yan, siya ang nakakaalam kung anong angkop ng tuturo. Pasensya po, but I'm being honest was my answer. So sana po ang inyong administration would realize na, sige, pwede po kayo mag-migrate at saka magtulong-tulong sa pagtuturo. Pero in the preparation of the materials of the subject, it must be the teacher of the content who has specialization in the content should prepare the learning materials. Thank you. Jillian?
Thank you very much, brother. Our next question is from Sofia Reyes.
Wow, social ang pangalan, no?
Can we say that accountability is an integral part of teaching?
Yes, ma'am. Hindi lang po nung kayo nagturo. When you entered the college, when you took education as your baccalaureate or bachelor's degree, you already have an idea the responsibilities that you will be taking in when you become a teacher. Wala pong institution sa Pilipinas at sa mundo na nagtuturo sa mga teacher na ang teacher ay walang pakialam sa estudyante. Palagi ang tinuturo natin sa mga teachers to be in the college is that your main responsibility is to take care of the learning of your students. That's why dapat lahat ng mga educational institutions in the Philippines na nagtuturo ng teachers to be or institutions that train pre-service teachers, offer pre-service programs to our students should focus on helping our teachers to be learn and imbibe accountability. That is the core of content knowledge. You teachers will not improve, innovate themselves if they do not see themselves and they do not accept that they are accountable primarily to whatever happens to the learning of their students in the subject area. So I agree po, ma'am. Tama po kayo. It is the core of it is the core of the teaching and learning process and the core of the teacher's responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for today po?
Thank you very much. It's more of a challenge though for you guys out there. So here's my challenge, my conclusion and challenge. So here, I got this from James chapter 3 verse 13. It says, who is wise understanding? Wait lang ha kasi. Who is wise understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life. By their deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. Yung teacher daw na alam ang asignatura at gaano kahirap ang asignatura, lalo yung nare-realize na dapat niyang na mahirapan ng bata pero gagawa niya ng paraan para maintindihan ng bata. At they become a good model of the subject area. And on that note also, by knowing and researching about your subject area, you get to know that yung alam mo sa asignatura mo ay hindi pa ganun kalaki. So aral ka ng aral hanggang sa aral ka ng aral, parang ang dami pong dapat aralin. So it becomes, you realize that Being a math teacher, being a science teacher, being a language teacher, being a TLE teacher is a lifelong journey, a lifelong task that we should embark on. That hindi ibig sabihin na pag nakagraduate ka na at nakapasa ka na ng LET, tapos na ang trabaho mo on helping yourselves grow in the content in your discipline. Hindi po. Matagal, hanggat ikaw ay teacher, we have a responsibility to grow in the discipline, to be experts in the discipline. So I will leave you with these statements. A teacher with better content knowledge who know to teach the subject to a specific audience should create student gains over a less period or less experienced teacher. Ibig sabihin, mas alam ng isang teacher na alam mga asignatura, anong effective way how to teach the subject. Kasi alam niya ang asignatura. Alright? But the challenge right now is that it is very difficult to provide enough additional training to educators once they have begun teaching. May mga statistics show na mga teachers pag nagsimula na, nakafocus na sila pa sa pagtuturo na nakalimutan nila ang kanilang sariling professional growth. So, it is not only the responsibility of individual teachers to grow and mature in the discipline, but also the responsibility of the institution. So my challenge here is not only for teachers, but for the private institutions, for the public school institutions, for the universities and colleges, that when you hire these teachers, you also take in accountability that I will help these teachers improve themselves so that they can help their students become better graduates. It's a cycle. If we do not help our teachers, provide them with trainings, they can teach, but they will not improve because maraming pagbabago sa asignatura. So yan po ang challenge ko sa inyo. How can school administrators help teachers improve themselves and grow in the content so that they can help their teachers? With that, that's a simple challenge for you, but a profound one and a really difficult challenge to take on. Thank you very much, and I hope that you will tune in tomorrow at the same time, 4:30 to 5:30, on Strand 2 of Domain 1 of the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. Thank you very much, and we salute you teachers out there doing your utmost to help your students learn the subject area. That alone is already an indicator that you are more than willing to know better the subject that you're teaching. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, brother. And to all our Vibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vival Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.